You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your educational journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. Cloud Security Posture Management, or CSPM, has become a central discipline in modern cybersecurity because cloud environments are inherently dynamic and prone to configuration error. The purpose of CSPM is to continuously assess resources against policies, standards, and best practices, while detecting and correcting drift that occurs over time. Unlike traditional security tools that focus mainly on runtime events, CSPM is proactive, focusing on prevention and control of misconfiguration risk. Insecure defaults, overly broad permissions, or weak encryption settings can expose services to attackers in ways that are both silent and devastating. CSPM brings visibility to these risks, correlates them to regulatory frameworks, and supports remediation before they are exploited. It provides the guardrails necessary to ensure that as organizations scale their use of the cloud, their security posture scales with equal rigor and consistency. CSPM works by continuously evaluating resources, identities, networks, storage, and compute services against approved policies and baselines. These evaluations run in the background, scanning control plane settings, reviewing access permissions, and checking encryption defaults. When deviations are detected, they are flagged for review or remediation. For example, a storage bucket configured with public read access would be detected and classified as a misconfiguration. CSPM tools not only identify these risks but often contextualize them within the broader environment, showing how one weak setting could lead to an exploitable attack path. This proactive visibility reduces reliance on incident response after the fact. Misconfiguration risk arises from several common patterns, many of which stem from the tension between speed and control. Insecure defaults, such as open firewall rules or unencrypted volumes, create exposure when teams rely on provider defaults rather than hardened templates. Broad permissions, such as granting full administrative access when only read permissions are needed, expand the attack surface unnecessarily. Public exposure, where services or storage are inadvertently made internet accessible, is another frequent issue. Weak encryption settings, such as disabled TLS enforcement, compound the problem. CSPM helps identify these weaknesses systematically, preventing them from persisting unnoticed in production. Configuration baselines define the approved, desired state of resources. They act as a reference point for what secure looks like in practice. For example, a baseline might specify that all storage buckets must enforce encryption at rest, or that all virtual machines must disable external SSH access. CSPM tools compare live environments against these baselines, surfacing drift when settings fall outside the approved range. Baselines serve both as standards for compliance and as practical templates for security teams, ensuring that desired states are clearly documented and enforceable. Drift describes the deviation from baseline that occurs after deployment. Drift can result from manual console changes, automation gaps, or even provider updates that alter service defaults. For instance, if an administrator opens a firewall rule directly in the console without updating the corresponding infrastructure as code template, the live environment drifts from the intended configuration. Drift introduces uncertainty, making environments harder to audit and secure. CSPM tools specialize in detecting drift quickly, restoring visibility, and providing remediation options to bring systems back into alignment. Policy libraries map posture requirements to established frameworks like ISO, SOC, or NIST standards. This ensures that posture management not only addresses organizational goals, but also satisfies regulatory and contractual obligations. For example, a CSPM platform might enforce policies ensuring encryption of all sensitive data to align with GDPR requirements. Mapping policies to external frameworks creates traceability, turning internal configuration checks into verifiable compliance artifacts. This capability is critical for demonstrating security maturity to auditors and customers alike. Graph-based analysis is an advanced technique that models resource relationships within the environment. Rather than viewing findings in isolation, graph analysis highlights how identities, networks, and data stores interconnect. For example, it might reveal that an overprivileged role combined with a public subnet creates an attack path to sensitive databases. This contextual view helps teams prioritize remediation not by the number of findings, but by the severity of potential outcomes. Graph-based CSPM shifts the focus from raw alerts to meaningful risk reduction. Cloud Infrastructure Entitlement Management, or CIEM, focuses specifically on identity and access management within Posture. While CSPM addresses configuration broadly, CIEM zeroes in on the sprawl of permissions and entitlements across accounts and services. Excessive privilege is a leading cause of cloud compromise, and CIEM identifies users, roles, and service accounts with more access than necessary. For instance, it may flag an identity with administrative access to resources it never touches. By aligning identity controls with least privilege, CIEM strengthens posture management at one of the most critical layers. Large organizations often operate across multiple accounts, subscriptions, or regions, making posture management more complex. Multi-account scope ensures that policies apply consistently across these boundaries, reducing the chance of gaps. For example, encryption policies must extend not just to one subscription, but across all cloud projects globally. CSPM tools provide centralized visibility and enforcement, ensuring that posture is managed uniformly, even in sprawling multi-cloud or multi-account deployments. This organizational scope ensures that posture is a shared discipline, not fragmented by silos. Tagging standards enable posture rules to be applied more intelligently. By encoding ownership, environment, and sensitivity into tags, organizations allow CSPM systems to apply differentiated policies. For example, production resources tagged as sensitive may require stricter encryption and monitoring than development resources. Tagging also supports accountability by making clear which team owns a resource. When paired with CSPM, tagging creates a powerful way to focus posture management where it matters most, aligning technical enforcement with business context. Not all findings are equal, so risk scoring is used to prioritize remediation. A misconfigured service in a test environment may matter less than an exposed storage bucket containing customer data. Risk scoring considers impact, exploitability, blast radius, and data sensitivity. For example, a public database with personally identifiable information would rank as high risk, demanding urgent attention. By scoring findings, CSPM tools help teams focus limited resources on what poses the greatest threat, ensuring efficiency as well as effectiveness. There are legitimate cases where deviations from policy are justified, but they must be managed carefully. Exceptions document these cases, including the reason for deviation, an expiration date, and compensating controls. For instance, a legacy application may require an insecure cipher suite temporarily while modernization efforts are underway. CSPM platforms allow these exceptions to be tracked and reviewed, ensuring that they remain temporary and transparent rather than permanent blind spots. Proper exception management balances operational reality with disciplined governance. Remediation modes define how posture findings are addressed. Advisory mode provides guidance and recommendations, but leaves changes to administrators. Guided fixes may present click-to-remediate workflows, walking users through safe correction. Automated remediation applies changes directly, often with audit trails and rollback options. For example, a CSPM tool may automatically remove public access from a bucket flagged as misconfigured. Automated fixes reduce response time, but must be carefully scoped to avoid disruption. Offering multiple remediation modes ensures flexibility while preserving safety. Privacy and data minimization also extend into posture management. CSPM findings must not expose unnecessary details about sensitive environments or data. For example, instead of showing full content paths, posture reports might anonymize certain fields while still flagging misconfigurations. This reduces risk of secondary exposure from the very tools meant to protect the environment. Privacy-conscious posture management ensures that visibility does not come at the expense of confidentiality. Finally, posture management requires measurement and reporting to track progress. Metrics such as control coverage, open risk, and mean time to remediate provide quantitative views of posture maturity. For instance, a report might show that 95% of storage services now meet encryption baselines, with the remaining 5% under remediation. Reporting not only demonstrates progress to auditors and executives, but also helps operational teams identify trends and bottlenecks. Metrics transform posture management from a static checklist into a dynamic, measurable discipline. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Real-time evaluation is one of the most valuable capabilities of modern CSPM platforms. Instead of waiting for scheduled scans, event-driven triggers detect risky changes the moment they occur. For example, if an administrator modifies a firewall rule to allow all inbound traffic, the CSPM tool can flag it instantly and even roll back the change. This approach transforms posture management from periodic compliance into continuous assurance. Real-time evaluation ensures that misconfigurations do not linger undetected, reducing the window of exposure for attackers to exploit. Periodic scans still play an important role by providing comprehensive sweeps of the environment. These scans can detect drift that escaped real-time checks, uncover shadow assets created outside of controlled pipelines, and review stale exceptions that should have expired. For instance, a periodic scan might reveal an orphaned storage bucket without encryption that no one remembered existed. By combining event-driven detection with scheduled sweeps, organizations achieve both breadth and immediacy in posture management, ensuring that blind spots are minimized. Policy as Code strengthens posture governance by embedding guardrails directly into pipelines and runtime systems. With declarative policies written in code, organizations can automatically block non-compliant configurations before they are applied. For example, a policy might prevent the creation of a virtual machine without encryption enabled. Because the rules are codified, they can be versioned, tested, and audited like software. Policy as Code ensures consistency and eliminates reliance on manual enforcement, making posture management scalable and reliable across large, complex environments. Infrastructure as Code scanning complements Policy as Code by reviewing resource templates before provisioning. By analyzing Terraform, CloudFormation, or ARM templates, CSPM tools catch misconfigurations early in the development lifecycle. For example, if a template includes an overly permissive IAM policy, the issue can be fixed before deployment. IAC scanning shifts posture assurance left, aligning with DevSecOps principles. This reduces rework, prevents risky resources from ever reaching production, and reinforces the idea that security begins with design, not after deployment. While much CSPM effort focuses on control plane settings, data plane coverage adds critical depth. This involves monitoring how storage is accessed, how keys are used, and how networks flow traffic in practice. For instance, it may reveal that although a bucket is encrypted, it is being accessed from an unapproved network. Data plane analysis bridges the gap between configuration and usage, ensuring that secure settings translate into secure behavior. It turns posture management from static policy checking into dynamic operational assurance. Auto-remediation is an increasingly popular feature, applying safe, reversible changes when high-confidence policies are violated. For example, if a database snapshot is created without encryption, auto-remediation may enable encryption automatically while recording the action in an audit log. These fixes are usually accompanied by rollback options and evidence trails, ensuring accountability. While not every issue can be safely auto-corrected, well-defined guardrails, such as deny public access by default, are ideal candidates. Auto-remediation accelerates response, minimizing the time that risks remain exposed. Workflow integration ensures that posture findings are not just flagged but followed through. Integration with ticketing systems creates issues automatically, assigns owners, and links them to runbooks for resolution. For example, a finding about excessive privileges might generate a ticket assigned to the identity management team, complete with remediation steps. This structured process reduces the risk of findings being ignored and ensures accountability. Workflow integration bridges the gap between detection and organizational action, making posture management operationally effective. Multi-cloud harmonization is essential for organizations that span multiple providers. Each cloud has different resource types, event formats, and severity definitions. Harmonization normalizes these differences, allowing posture policies to be applied consistently across environments. For instance, encryption at rest requirements should apply equally to AWS S3, Azure Blob, and Google Cloud Storage, even though each uses different terminology and APIs. Harmonization provides a unified view of risk, simplifying governance and preventing provider differences from becoming blind spots. Attack path analysis elevates CSPM findings by correlating identities, networks, and data to uncover exploitable chains. A single misconfiguration may seem minor in isolation but become critical when combined with others. For example, an overprivileged role combined with a public subnet may expose sensitive storage to external actors. Attack path analysis helps prioritize remediation by showing not just what is wrong but how it can be exploited. This contextual risk modeling ensures that limited resources are focused on issues with the greatest potential impact. Segregation of duties reduces the risk of unsafe changes by ensuring that policy authors, approvers, and operators are distinct roles. For instance, the engineer writing a new encryption policy should not be the sole person approving and applying it. By separating responsibilities, organizations introduce checks and balances that prevent misconfigurations from being introduced intentionally or accidentally. This governance principle aligns posture management with broader security practices, reinforcing accountability and transparency. Evidence generation makes posture management auditable. Snapshots of configurations, policy versions, exception records, and remediation logs can be exported for internal and external review. For example, during an audit, a CSPM platform may produce evidence showing that all encryption policies were enforced continuously and that exceptions were documented with expiry dates. Evidence generation transforms posture controls into proof of compliance, satisfying both regulatory demands and executive oversight. Posture Service Level Objectives, or SLOs, provide quantitative targets for posture management. These may define closure times for findings, acceptable levels of open risk, or thresholds for control coverage. For example, a regulated environment might require that all critical misconfigurations be remediated within 72 hours. By setting measurable objectives, posture management becomes accountable and results-driven. SLOs also enable performance tracking, ensuring that posture efforts align with business and compliance needs. Cost awareness ensures that posture management remains sustainable. Scans and retention have real financial impacts, particularly in large multi-cloud environments. Tuning scan frequency, scope, and retention allows organizations to balance assurance with budget. For instance, highly sensitive environments may scan continuously, while lower-risk accounts scan daily. Cost-aware posture management recognizes that resources are finite and prioritizes spending where it adds the most value. Anti-patterns in posture management highlight what to avoid. An alert-only posture, where findings are reported but never remediated, creates noise without reducing risk. Unmanaged exceptions erode governance, turning temporary allowances into permanent gaps. Console-driven changes outside controlled pipelines undermine posture discipline, introducing drift that CSPM cannot reconcile. These anti-patterns reduce posture maturity, leaving organizations exposed. Avoiding them is as important as adopting best practices. Continuous improvement ensures that posture management evolves with incidents, audits, and provider changes. Policies must adapt to new services, new attack techniques, and new regulatory requirements. For example, If an incident reveals that a data plane risk was overlooked, policies and scans must be updated. By treating posture management as a living discipline, organizations prevent stagnation and ensure resilience. Continuous improvement aligns CSPM with the broader philosophy of cloud security operations. Adapt constantly to stay secure. In summary, policy-driven CSPM with prevention, detection, and automated remediation provides the discipline needed to maintain secure, compliant, and drift-resistant cloud environments. Real-time evaluation catches issues instantly, while periodic scans provide comprehensive coverage. Policy as code and IAC scanning prevent risky changes before they reach production, while auto-remediation and workflows ensure that detected issues are resolved. Multi-cloud harmonization, attack path analysis, and evidence generation create both resilience and accountability. By avoiding anti-patterns and committing to continuous improvement, organizations maintain a posture that is both strong and adaptable. This approach ensures that as the cloud evolves, security posture remains trustworthy. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.